Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Taking Up Space, a Michelle Amir podcast. Always excited about coming forward, y'all. Today is no different. Today, I want to speak to something that I put on my social, on my Instagram page and my Facebook page today. It was a post that I created. I woke up last night and I was just thinking about life. Just don't you ever get to a place where you just lay up at night or maybe sometimes early in the morning and you ponder your existence? I used to do this often. I do it now, but not so much, I guess, because I'm so engrossed in my walk that it's just constantly a meditation that I have. But I used to wake up early in the morning and just lay there. And I would have times where I would be able to bounce ideas off of myself, and I would be able to get the truth, the most truthful aspect of them. That lucid dream place where you're not asleep, but you're not fully awoken. That's where I would find myself in at times. And I could manipulate that. Well, not manipulate. I could truthfully allow my heart to speak to itself, and it would come with its own level of answers. While in this space, that space where you're half asleep and you're conscious that you're not asleep, but your body is not there, is still in the sleep state, like your arms and your limbs and your breathing is still the same as it was while you were in that deep sleep state, but your mind, your consciousness is somewhat 1 foot in and 1 foot out of it. I could, while in that state at times, ask myself questions, not manipulative questions, meaning I could not formulate a question. I could allow the questions that were resting on my mind and on my heart that were already there to kind of like float up and be asked of itself. And I would find the answers would come fluidly. The most genuine answers. I would have conversations with myself. I can recall asking myself things and then saying, you know the answer to that. Like an aspect of me saying that to myself. And I wouldn't know what it was, but maybe I wasn't sure that that's what it was. So I was avoiding it in my waking life, but in my lucid sleeping time, it would show me that that is the answer. And last night or early this morning when I woke up, I didn't have the lucid dreaming aspect, but I was thinking of my life. I was just going over, where I am, what has led me to this space, and how the rhythm of God has shown itself all throughout my life. And I came up with some ideologies that I'm going to stand in. It's not God's job, it's not God's goal for us to suffer in any way to bring about God's revelation in our lives. To be useful to other people in this world, we don't have to suffer. Many people use the walk of Jesus and, Jesus died, and we celebrate the death of Jesus. Like we have turned into a group of people that celebrate unalivement. We legitimately have turned the atrocity that happened to Jesus into something that should be celebrated. And I'm just not with it, y'all. You can negate me. You can say I'm this, I'm going to go to hell. I done have people say all kinds of stuff and I don't care. I do not agree with it. I think we should call it for what it is and bring it into the light and discuss why it happened and heal from the why portion of it. Why we sat and allowed that to happen. Why the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the elders and the chief priests allowed this man to come amongst them that did nothing but righteous acts amongst the children. And they turn a blind eye to the righteous acts that Jesus did, and they focus only in on dissecting his content and finding a fault where there was no fault. They didn't know any better. They could have sat at the feet of Jesus or sat at the side of Jesus or sat in the environment of Jesus and bounce ideas off of Jesus. But because of ego, because of ignorance and childish behavior, because of wickedness, because of money, fame, and comfort, they felt intimidated by Jesus to the point that they had to make him an enemy. And in making him an enemy, it made them feel safe. Yet, you know, it should not be a thing that we celebrate the difficulties that one experiences when they come forth speaking goodness. If you can celebrate the bad guy turning good, if you can celebrate the gang member becoming a righteous man, if you can celebrate the person that went around unaliving people for a living, converting to righteousness, if you can celebrate the thief, the person that built their whole life around lies and smoke and deception, and that tricked people out of stability and happiness, and that person changing their life and doing righteousness, if you can celebrate that, then why is it that we can't celebrate the overall good of all of us that have walked the many paths of life and maybe made some mistakes, in which we all befall? None of us are beyond that. Yet that have led with a redemptive quality, a profound one. Even though they've made mistakes, the same types of mistakes, mostly lesser mistakes than we ourselves have made. Why do we see such a discrepancy? I'm here to tell you that it's just a justification. It's another avenue to justify wickedness. It's just another way of saying, I can justify this because I'm really afraid. I'm really fearful for another reason. But I'm going to use this avenue, this vertical, this vehicle as an example, or as an acceptable vehicle to justify my own internal fears. I was thinking about this last night and how we do things, how the world is at this point. Just, I look at from when I was a young woman, I'm 52, and how the world was when I was coming up, to how the world has changed so dramatically to the way it is now. It's like night and day. Some of the things that are acceptable and that are fashionable nowadays were embarrassing when I was coming up. And it wasn't that far long ago. It was not. Within the same lifetime, we've gone from bad to worse. Not as a group of people culturally, but that too, but as a collective unit. How do we fix this? And it's a wonderful thing to be inspired by people and want to align to God because you see the movement of God in other people's lives and you want that for yourself. But it's a total other thing to just be inspired by the bandwagon nature of things. Just wagoning off of what people are doing and wanting to superimpose yourself into that because of the projection. You want the outward projection. You want the love that the person is utilizing that allows them to convey what they're conveying with the passion and enthusiasm that they convey it in. But you don't want to do the work that aligns you to the power that grants you the profound effects of this love. You just want to look like it. No substance. And I'm here to tell you that in this life, you can fool yourselves into believing that substance does not matter. You can fool yourselves into believing that mimicry is the way to go. But you are doing yourself a terrible disservice. Terrible. Friend, because in God's kingdom, substance is everything. Faith of a mustard seed. Substance. Just a little bit of substance goes a long way. But if you look to manipulate and you just want the fashion, you're an idolater. Legitimately. That is idolatry at its finest. You just want to look like that person. You just want to act as if that person acts. You just want to represent what that person represents without really engulfing yourself and getting knee deep and saturated in it and allowing it to make you another variation of that. Yet you'd rather just be a carbon copy, take it no further than that and rest in that. Then you are doing no one a disservice but yourself. I posted on social media. When I'm telling you, I was sitting up thinking this morning about the things people do with the precious time they have in this life. You are so busy trying to either count somebody else's money or count somebody else's happiness or gauge how better their life is than yours or wish wickedness on people because you feel insecure about your own decisions you've made with the time you've had in this life, that you harm yourselves in ways that you cannot repair within this lifetime. All because you don't know where you are. You don't know. You don't know the value of what you have in this life. Because if you knew the value, you would never waste your time on just acting. You would quit that acting thing and get busy. You would get busy. You will become deeply enamored in finding alignment to the power and letting that power mold you into what you were created to be all along. And there will be no turning back. But because you don't know, you've not taken the time. No one has told you, even though it was no one's responsibility to tell you. Friend, nobody told me. I didn't get the memo. I didn't come up in a family of people that went to church every Sunday and were part of the choir and, did all these things. I didn't go to Sunday Bible school on Sunday. I didn't go to vacation Bible school. I didn't want to be a person that came on social media conveying truths of the Bible. I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to be a Playboy bunny. I wanted to be the hot girl. I wanted to be the corporate guru. I wanted to have all the material possessions, be able to have all the luxuries of life, and go amongst people and impress myself upon people in a lasting way to build my ego up. I wanted to compete amongst women and men for attention and favors. I wanted all the stuff that most people want that feel themselves worthy and capable. I wanted all. I wanted to be around all the beautiful people. Maybe, beautiful people are at levels. But at my level, I wanted to be around all the beautiful people. I felt able to contend and to compete amongst women for the attention of men within that environment. To be considered a beautiful person. But God would lead me on a journey. Just like Joseph. When Joseph was in his father's house and he's telling his brethren about his dreams and how his dreams are coming to him and how profound they are. The only reason he's speaking these dreams, and the only reason any of us repeat our dreams, is because there's some sort of lasting component aligned to them. There's a feeling that we must communicate to somebody else. It's such a heavy feeling. It's perplexing that we just can't keep it to ourselves. It forces us to say something about the dream to someone else. You know, I had this dream last night that such and such. Somebody's going to hear it. Joseph was having dreams similar to this. This is how God moves. God will move in a way that it will force you to tell somebody about it. That's kind of like the Holy Spirit. You can't hold these things to yourself. You have to give it to someone else. If I meet you at a certain level, I've got to allow you to leave me better. I've got to pour into you. That's the anointing. And God would give Joseph these dreams, and he would inspire in Joseph this feeling of sharing the dreams for a purpose. He would need to feel the negative feedback from his environment to strengthen that muscle in Joseph so he doesn't take it personal when people rebuke him. I've been turned down by greater, friend. You telling me that I'm nobody and that you don't want to be bothered. I've seen all of this before. I got a rebuttal for you. I expected you to do that. It's kind of how my makeup is. I've been born into a world where I've received a tremendous amount of rebuke, a tremendous amount of rejection. I'm built different. It doesn't bother me. You coming with whatever kind of disdainful or disgraceful or negative commentary telling me I'm nothing and trying to beat me down and make me feel as if I'm less than you. Friend, I have competed against women that played these games with me. In the female circle, it's like that. I don't know anything about being a man. But in the woman circle, when you're coming up amongst women that feel confident amongst themselves, it's like that. They're always trying to find a way to make you feel bad, to stunt on you, to come with the latest thing knowing you don't have it and they have it, and make you feel as if one is better than the other in whatever regard. You got to build yourself up. Oh, I might not have the big behind, and I might not have the wide hips and all of this kind of stuff, but I got this. And when I step with this, those same ones that are enamored with you because of your hips and your butt and your hair and your this and your that are enamored with me because of this. And I will be a mystery to you. You will be wondering, well, how? This is self-confidence. It's polishing up what you have and putting that on display and making that a aspect that is able to contend just as well, if not better, than that status quo that everybody else out there is going for. I'm here to tell you guys, nowadays we got this whole trend with the BBLs and all this kind of stuff. I'm telling you, in a minute, I see it coming now. I was in Neiman's probably about a year ago, and there was this woman. She was a European woman, and she had on like some skinny jeans and a tight top, something very simple, very slim woman. Looked like she probably did Pilates. Very lean woman. No big hips, no big butt, no big boobs. Just a naturally lean woman that looked like she probably works out, but she's not muscular. I said, darn, she looked great. I'm talking about she looked great. And I said, you see what's happening here? This whole trend for all of this exaggeration, all this exaggerated stuff, is making what is natural more popular. It's going to be more popular to have a natural look than it will ever be to have all of that exaggerated stuff. I'm here to tell you. But isn't that how God is? God works in ways that pull the rug up under the things that we find within our reach to create. The things that we create to build upon what God already established, God will come and pull the rug from up under those things. Hi, Forrest. And leave us with a taste for what God created even more. So, Joseph and all of his strivings with his brothers and feeling rejected and all these things, once he left his father's house and went on the monumental journey that God would allow him to go upon, the strengths that he learned in his father's house by the negativity, rejection, being hated on. He was legitimately being hated on by his own brothers. And the ability for him to wrestle with it. Could you imagine being hated on by people that are closest to you? Could you imagine being betrayed by your family? Could you? Could you imagine the people that you grew up with, that you've known longer than you've known anybody else in this life, betraying you, knowing about a betrayal or about a wrongdoing and not saying anything on your behalf, never coming to your defense, not even a little bit, out of love? These are the same people that will say, I love you, and blow out the birthday cake, candles, come to all of the holiday gatherings, come to the children's birthday, see the birth of the children, go to the funerals of the matriarchs and the patriarchs of the family, right along with you. Yet they concoct and support the largest betrayal of your life. After you come out of something like that, friend, you can deal with anything. There's nothing that can usurp that. There's nothing that can overshadow that. There's no one in life that will be able to come and disappoint you more than those people outside of God. And God does not disappoint. I posted on my social media something that read similar to this. You could not, nor would not, have seen it beneficial enough to consistently overcome the challenges I faced just to offer up my content to you. You wouldn't have seen it worth it. You wouldn't have. I thought about this last night. In life, you have a lot of people that come with advice. And some of it is meaningful. Some of it is great advice that they really mean, and they are hopeful that you partake of it so that you gain in strength and you continue to carry on. But there are some people that offer up advice just so that they can make a name for themselves, to say that I told you something. I was wise enough to give him or her that level of advice. Bravo to me. Greater am I. Yet, in both instances, whether it's a righteous cause that you're offering the advice from and you mean it in in a righteous, well-being manner, or that you're looking to make a name for yourself and you're just looking to put yourself in a situation to kind of get some credibility or whatever your reason is, you will never know the total extent of what that person's dealing with unless you are in that situation. when we look at Joseph and all of his many walks, as I did the Bible study on it yesterday, or even David, one can dissect the walk of David and Joseph and speak to it and break it down into ingestible bite-sized pieces so that we can get the most from it. But we could never really know what it was actually like lest we were those people. It's something about the intricacies of the mindset of these people before they even begin the journey in experiencing such tribulatory things, such betrayals. You see, it's the mindset, it is the walk, it is their ideology on life that makes the experience so unique to them at the time. When you come forth with your gift, something as simple as Jesus did, coming forth with his gifts to say, hey, I see we're all struggling with these same things. From coast to coast, I see this same scenario being played out amongst the children of God, the sons of man. This is what I have found to be true. This is what God has shown me. And this is what I offer up to you. Why? He offers it up because just like Joseph and him getting these visions from God in the dream world, he can't keep it to himself. It's synonymous with being an avatar of God in the world. What God downloads into you, what God allows you to experience is so monumental, so heavy, so thick, so rich. You can't covet it. You coveting it harms you. It works against you. You must recycle it. You must alchemize it internally and give birth to it anew in an ingestible way, unique to your perspective and the way you see your environment, so that those in the environment can partake of it. This is what Jesus would do. Yet in him coming forth with simple truths that you would think were harmless, those that he came to, those of his own house, the people that were in place to guide and direct God's sheep, that were sheep themselves, the sheep guiding other sheep, rebuked him. They rejected him. They made life so difficult for this man. And you will wonder, well, what could he have done to make him want to do such a thing? They come from the same environment. They're honoring the same God. Even if they weren't honoring the same God, the gods of the nations that were surrounding them were creations of the same God. They all, at the end of the day, are creations and emanations, variances of the creations of God. Everything we see in this world, there is no rogue being. There are those that are bound in this realm and those that are not. That's really what it boils down to. Those that are bound here, that have no further existence than this, and those that do. Why God allows such things? I was thinking about this last night. Why? Why would God allow such wickedness, such pettiness amongst one another? Why? You know, I'm going to have to default to Joseph. At the end of Joseph's walk, he becomes exalted to a monumental place in Egypt, a place that no one would have ever expected Joseph to end up. A role in which is second to none outside of the king of Egypt. Joseph was higher than Pharaoh. Joseph was the king's right-hand man. Joseph was Pharaoh's Pharaoh. Joseph was the influencers of Egypt's influencer. That's who he was. He was loved by the people, but before he ever came amongst the people, he was influencing those that influenced the people. Before he ever came before the people. Even when Joseph was in Potiphar's house, he's influencing the people that influence the people. He's not influencing the people. You never hear of Joseph influencing the other maids in the house. There's no mention of Joseph being the head of all of the slaves and all the maids of Potiphar's house. Joseph is interacting with Potiphar, and Joseph is interacting with Potiphar's wife. And those at Potiphar and Potiphar's wife's level. The Apocrypha goes as far as to say that Potiphar's wife was so perplexed with Joseph that she called all of the other wives of the dignitaries that she was friends with and had Joseph put in royal robes and gowns so that they could understand why she was so obsessed with Joseph, because everybody knew she was just enamored with Joseph and they were wondering why. Joseph is influencing those that influence the people. He leaves Potiphar's house out of a setup, a lie. A lie. People that he's been good to. He stood in righteousness in Potiphar's house, stood for something, showed them something that they did not know of before he got there, blessed them. And not only did he bless them, he walked it. Because you got a lot of stuff going on. You got people nowadays, or even in Joseph's times, that will come and they would speak blessings and they would look a certain way. But then when you get behind closed doors and you get to seeing what's going on in the environment, it's a lot of deception. It's a lot of lies. It's a lot of trickery. It's a lot of unrighteousness. And this is what the dynamic was that got Joseph caught up. The trickery, the lies, the deception that was going on behind closed doors, they couldn't pull it on Joseph. He wasn't partaking of it. So he didn't fit in. And because he didn't want to partake of it, he didn't want to become Potiphar's wife's side guy, boyfriend, she threatens to unalive him or to make life very difficult for him. But isn't that how it goes? There will be people that will come upon you and want to siphon all of the things that you have from you. They will not want to partner with you. They'll want to strong arm you. They'll want to supersede themselves into your own thing, no matter how small or how regional or how limited it may be. They want to take it and blow it up and make it into a big bubble so that they and only they benefit from it. You're just a mule that they use without any buy-in from you. And if you don't agree with them, they want to ruin you. They'll threaten ruin upon you. This is Joseph. This is what is conveyed in the Apocrypha. And then Joseph ends up in the prison. And what is Joseph doing in the prison? He's influencing the influencers. He's influencing the influencers. He becomes the leader in the prisons, the go-to guy for the other guards. And he influences the butler, Pharaoh's or the king's right-hand man. But nobody would know that all these negative actions, the betrayals, the not being able to put your trust in people, not giving people the benefit of the doubt, but being able to psychoanalyze people enough to know their temperament, to be able to gauge their emotional makeup, to protect yourself so that you're no longer allowing them to control you, but you handle them. This is Joseph. All these things God would allow Joseph to experience so that he make it to his destination. God has a mission for Joseph that Joseph himself does not even know. And he would need the elevated environment. He would need to know how it is to deal with people at this elevated level, because his end goal, his end space, his destination would be amongst these people. And had he never dealt with these people before, it would be completely foreign to him in interacting with them at the level that God would deem fit for Joseph to interact with them at. Not to make Joseph great, not to give Joseph a medal because he followed God. No, because Joseph had a calling, a purpose that was bigger than Joseph. Joseph's purpose was to help the people, was to nourish the people, was to create a safe place within this environment so that this nation could become strong and monumental and be able to siphon from this environment spiritual truths that it would need to become a mighty nation in the name of God. All the hurtful interactions. He needed to be hated on. Every step of Joseph's journey, this is for all of y'all out here being lied on by people and people conjuring all kind of lies and deceptive rumors and all kind of nonsense on you just because they're jealous, because they can't be a part of your life, or because they can't maybe do the things that you're doing, or because they can't overcome you in the capacity in which they feel like they would like. Joseph, from each leg of his journey, from his father's house all the way to the pit, all the way to Potiphar's house, all the way to the prison, had a horrible reputation, friend. Friend, people were saying some of the worst things about Joseph. The first thing they said was that he was a slave. This is his father's most loved son. Talk about an oxymoron. This is Jacob's and Rachel's beloved. He's a prince. And they're calling him a slave. The Midianites, when they came upon Joseph, and they're going back and forth with Joseph, and Joseph is like, take me back to the house. This is a mistake. They're saying, or was it the Ishmaelites? I think it was the Ishmaelites. Midianites had sold them to the Ishmaelites. And the Ishmaelites are saying, look, if you were not a slave, friend, and you are who you say you are, why did your family sell you for 20 shekels of silver? I mean, you mean to tell me that you're all this and they didn't try to capitalize off of you? We're living in a capitalistic society. You mean to tell me they sell you a whole man, a mighty man, a man of favor for 20 shekels of silver? That's like saying I sold you for $25. They did not see any value in you. They're speaking to Joseph like he's a con artist, trying to con his way out of a bad situation. Terrible reputation. Terrible. I sat up and I thought about this last night, about my own life, about how the many travels that I've experienced over the last 3-4 years have led me to significant highs and lows. And how some of the experiences have been straight up trash can experiences, friend. Trash can. At the hand of people. I never would have experienced them had I not had to interact with people. Certain people. And it brought me back to Joseph. When I thought, why God allows this? Why did God allow Joseph to have trash can experiences? Being put in a pit, dug up, sold into slavery. Betrayed, lied on. He's gone into Potiphar's house, which is a renowned house. Everybody knows of him. He's serving all of the renowned senior people of the Egyptian kingdom at Potiphar's house. They speak highly of Joseph. And then he gets the rug pulled again. Potiphar's wife lies on him. Puts a rumor on him that he's trying to sleep with her, that he tried to rape her. She has set up a whole lie. All because she's obsessed with him. He's not even thinking about her. She has a whole spin campaign on him. And now all of these people, these renowned people, are looking at Joseph like he's a piece of crap. A trash can situation, friend. A situation that would never, a jacket that would never fit him is being put on him by some liars, by some people that he would never even want to be bothered with. And he gets to the prison. Terrible reputation. Terrible. Yet, when he interacts with the king, butler, because of a dream, a natural occurrence set up just for him, it would allow him to shine like nobody else. Nobody could shine like Joseph. When I tell you the Apocrypha speaks to all of these different kinds of people that the king will call from lands distant, top individuals, looking to give them fame and notoriety if they can make sense of this dream. Everybody and their mama came. Everybody wanted to make sense of this dream. And with those that came to make sense of the dream, the Egyptian king would open himself up to his enemies being able to make sense of this dream too. You got to keep that in mind. The Apocrypha says that the king called on everybody, friend, to the point that he now has opened himself up to this dream. It's like telling your enemy your dream. You don't know what it means, so you surely don't want your enemy to know. You don't even want the enemy to know that you had a dream that you can't decipher. But the king did. The king of the mightiest nation in the world. And no one could make sense of it. Yet when Joseph came, he was able to do it. And the king would be able to know that Joseph would be able to do it because of a feeling. Because that's how it happens. It's all feeling based. All these things. Discernment. Discernment is very important. But throughout all of your walks, friend, when I was sitting up thinking about my, my life and the many walks that I've had, all the key players that play pivotal roles at different intervals in my life are limited to their perception of me because they don't know what I know. They don't know what I saw before I even stepped foot in their environment. I didn't even know. And I still don't know. But I have the feeling. This is what Joseph would have. Joseph will remember the days that he had these dreams before he could make sense of them. I'm sure there were many dreams that Joseph had that he didn't speak to his brothers about, that he could not make sense of. But he could gather them all together the further he went on his journey. And they would themselves somewhat begin to fall into place and create a puzzle that he could use to let him know that everything is going to be just fine, friend. There is a method to the madness. That this life is just that, a big puzzle piece that we're all piecing together. Whether it's the king of Egypt, whether it's each and every one of his brothers, whether it's his father Jacob, or whether it's him. And all the people that he interacts with along the way. We're all out here putting the pieces together of the puzzle of our lives. And we all act as a piece to one another's puzzle. Mm-hmm. So when he's moving along his path, he remembers what his mother Rachel said when he went into the graveyard and he calls upon her spirit in the ancestral realm, like I spoke to yesterday, because that's what the Apocrypha speaks to. When he couldn't tap into the spirit of Jacob for direction, he went into the ancestral realm. He rang the alarm in the ancestral realm, friend. And his mother would tell him, you're going to go to all of these places, but you cannot fear them. Sure, you're going to be afraid initially, but you don't stand in fear. Box with fear. You got to box fear down, friend. Fear, you've got to wrestle with fear. I don't care what it look like. You've got to be, I call myself Sugar Bay Leonard. I'm Sugar Bay Leonard. When fear comes, you ever see Sugar Ray Leonard fight? I'm so impressed by Sugar Ray Leonard, y'all. Sugar Ray Leonard had hands. If Sugar Ray Leonard got on you, friend, oh, it was all bad. It was, he put them bing bings on you. You going night time. It's night time for real. That's how you've got to be with fear. You got to get fear against the ropes and go all in on fear. You got to stand up and not fake it, because fear can sense when you're lying. The thing with spirit is that you can't manipulate your way in spirit. You got a lot of people nowadays that manipulate themselves amongst people and they act all tough and they act all strong and all this and all that. But in the world of spirit, you can't act. I mean, I guess you could. I see these things, I look at different, I've looked into all kinds of spiritual systems, but one of which those are the Goetic systems, the Egyptian magical systems, the Solomonic systems, all these things. I've looked into them. And one thing about them is that you've got to dress the part. You got to put on this. You got to do that. You got to say this. And I used to always wonder, why do they have to do this? It's like they're acting. Because they are. It was an exclusive system for an exclusive group. But through time and through capitalistic systems, a lot of this stuff was sold off and it lost its exclusivity. And the formula in which many people use to manipulate this system is all acting, it's all action, it's all, not action, but it's all theatrical. You got to act like that. You got to act like Grandpa and them acted when they were doing it. You've got to envision what it was like when Solomon was getting after it. And you got to sound like Solomon. You've got to talk with a level of authority to make them believe you mean business. You got to act. But I'm here to tell you that spirit knows an actor. Maybe the low-level spirits may not know. Oh, but those that control them know. These systems were systems that King Solomon used, and these systems were systems that even King Solomon got caught up in. Because it's not for an act. It's the real deal thing. Yet you've got many that act, and they wonder why. At pivotal times, there's no power. It's because you were acting. You're dealing in a system that is not yours, or that you don't have authorization to deal in, or that you really don't mean you don't have the integrity that you claim you do to get the result you want. So this is why I put the post up today about you wouldn't have seen it beneficial enough to do it, to keep going. Because a lot of stuff is just pageant based. It's just acting. It would have been too inconveniencing for you. It would have caused too much of change. Because what comes with it are trash can experiences. What do I mean by that? The outward projection becomes trash canish. I'm just telling you the facts. It takes so much to deal with the internal stuff, because that's really what matters, is the internal stuff. And you're so solidified internally that the enemy has nothing to work with internally. He has no way in. But what is the enemy's kingdom? The physical reality. So he can turn that. And the goal of the enemy is to turn your power. So if he can't attack you from the inside to turn your power, he will use all of the things on the outside to diminish your power. To either get you to feel bad about your stuff and your state and want to give up, or to make other people look upon you in a light that is not conducive to who you truly are, diminishing your power. This is what they do. And people will justify it with slogans. You got all kinds of slogans that people will use to justify it. The enemy will attack you with all kinds of stuff. And I know that there are many of you out there that have been attacked by the enemy that don't say a word. You're probably being attacked right now, and you don't know if it's the enemy or is this God? What is going on in my life? And I'm here to tell you that a lot of times It's an attack of the enemy. The enemy uses God's methods of operation. He mimics them to attack you. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything the enemy will use to attack you is a method of operation that God has already used, or else he would not have been able to come up with it. There's nothing original. I don't care if it's attacking you in the dream state. I've said all of these things. If you think that the dreams that you've gotten are strictly from God, you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You're crazy. It's not the case. We got to get that out early on. That's a fundamental trick that the enemy uses. Although I know that there are some prophets out there, and I'll never ever condemn a man or a woman that comes forth with prophetic revelations, because I know how monumental it is, and I know what a heavy burden it is. But I'm telling you, sis, guy, you must take into consideration that the enemy has the method to infiltrate your dream and to plant an idea that looks like a prophetic word in your mind. Why else would God be speaking to such things in the Bible? When he's speaking to false prophets, he's not, in a lot of instances, saying that these prophets are false because they want to be false. They're false because they don't know the tricks of the enemy. Yet they're held accountable to knowing them. How do I know that? How did this whole thing supposedly start? Eve and the serpent. He comes upon her with a trick. He tricked her. At the end of the day, yes, she knew the truth. Yes, she knew this. Yes, she knew that. But he tricked her. She did not know the full scope of what she was dealing with. He came in a vision of something else. He's a shapeshifter. Yet she partook of it and she gave it to Adam and he partook of it. And then God comes and God judges them. God does not curse them. This is why the skins of Adam and Eve were so powerful. God did not curse Adam and Eve. God cursed the fruit. And he cursed what? Ignorance. He cursed the fact that they were ignorant to the wiles of this entity. Why would God curse the fact that they were ignorant? Because it was both Adam and Eve's job to know the method of operation of everything in this realm. If you consider yourself a God like y'all's talking about out here, oh, I'm God. What's up, God? Hey, God. Hey, King. And you consider yourself all of that, then you've got to stand in the totality of what it takes to be that. Are you that? Okay, you call yourself that. You've got to know that there's power in the word. Just like everybody says, oh, there's power in the tongue. Okay, you've already established that. So now you're saying you're all these things. You've got to be it. When you say you're these things, you take ownership of what is involved in being that. And you are held accountable. And that is exactly what God expects for all of us. Whether knowing the wiles of the enemy and infiltrating dreams, whether knowing the wiles of the enemy and the wicked sciences that they came up with in Babylon. I'm here to tell you, friend, the sciences of Babylon are mesmerizing. Intriguing is an understatement. They are mesmerizing. There were some high levels of spiritual science going on in Babylon. That is impressive. I'm talking about impressive. Nimrod was doing a lot. This is the son of Cush. When we look in the night sky of the Orion constellation and they say, okay, there's Nimrod, he's the hunter. How did that happen? I'm gonna do a podcast on that because I'm already an hour in. Yeah. Ham, grandson, Cush, son, Nimrod, the hunter, Orion. All of these many things that we're dealing with. When you understand the science, when you understand what you're interacting with, half of the battle is lessened when you understand what you're interacting with. It's just that a lot of times we interact with things that we don't know what we're interacting with. A lot of times, y'all, you got people out here throwing stones at people in the spirit that are doing spiritual sciences against other people. They need to beware. Because they don't understand what they're interacting with. They think it's just, okay, yeah, such and such told me to do this, and I got that, and I'm going to do this because I can't stand her. She thinks she all that. Okay, I'm going to show her. I don't care. I'm going to show her today. No, you're going to show yourself. All that you over there doing and drawing and poking and doing, you doing that to you. Sugar Bay Leonard up in here like that. Sugar Bay Leonard. I've come through many hard trials. Through temptations on every hand. Though Satan's tried to stop me and to place my feet on sinking sand. Through the pain and all of my sorrow. Through the tears and all of my fears. The Lord was there to keep me. Oh, he's kept me in the midst of it all. Not because I've been so patient. Not because I've always obeyed. No, it's not. Because I trusted him to be with me all of the way. But it's because he loves me so dearly. He was there to answer my call. He was there always to protect me. Oh, he's kept me in the midst of it all. I had to say that. My spirit needed to say that. Yeah, that's what happens. This is why God says, sit at my right hand while I make your enemies my footstool. While I make your enemies your footstool. Not because God does not love them. They're God's children as well. But they're turned. They're harming themselves. It is not any of our job as children of God to go about life being a punching bag for other people and their stuff. Just because you come forth with truths of God and you speak to the power of the Holy Spirit and you speak to aligning to righteousness and you speak to the goodness of God, And just because there are people in the world that have heard it time and time again throughout their families, the patience of people depending on God, and they go out and they see unrighteous people prevailing in the world doing unrighteousness, and they equate you aligning to God as weakness. They see you as a lick. They see you as a victim. Oh, she believes in God. Okay, I can get her. Yeah, we're gonna do this and that to her. We're gonna call upon this our God. We're gonna call upon the witch. We're gonna get the witch to curse her. No, you're not gonna get nobody to do nothing. Sugar Bay Leonard. Sugar Bay. I'm telling you, Google Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Bay Leonard. No. You've got to know your opponent, not people. Because your opponent is not people. Your opponent are the spirits that source people. And they find them. And then they use those people to attack you. Your enemy is not the people. This is what I was thinking last night. I've known it all along, but I just was thinking it last night. Like, my enemy is not the people. My enemy is this unseen spirit that don't want to be seen. That's my enemy. That sources people to try to work against me. That is my enemy. And that is the enemy that my God fights against, reprimands, because that is his creation. I don't have to try to find that spirit. It's beyond me. I don't need to do that. God finds that spirit for me. In the form of my angel. That same angel that Jacob had come to him in the end of Jacob's life and said, "It's been good, friend. Friend, we've done a monumental thing, me and you. Friend, look at what we've accomplished. Thank you for giving me access. Thank you for allowing me to have reign in your life. Thank you for navigating this ship in the physical while I navigated it in the spiritual. Me and you were the dynamic duo. Two peas in a pod, Batman and Robin. Me and you. This is knowing your role and never getting it twisted. Never allowing the opponent to waste your time so that you go and try to fight battles that are impossible for you to win. I don't need to source the spirit that is waging war in my life. I need to do the ground level work. I need to be on the front line. Welcome to another episode of Taking Up Space, a Michelle A. Mayer podcast. Always so grateful to come forward and offer you new perspectives every day. How are you doing today? It's Sunday service, y'all. It's Bible study, y'all. That's my job. While I allow my angel in the form of God's angel that has been bestowed to me all of my life, and all of the different spirits, the Holy Spirit and the Spirit of God, and what other spirits God lend to me in the appropriate times to assist in the spiritual world, to limit the manifestation of those physical enemies that I have to deal with in my life. And this is a portion of the problem that happened in the garden. God cursed ignorance. It was the ignorance, the the not aligning to the truth, not standing in your sovereignty, not being dominant in your environment that you were created to be dominant in, and allowing someone else to come upon you and take you off of your circle, trick you out of your position. So yes, the enemy knows your dreams, friend. Let's just say this, the enemy can see into the dream world. And if the enemy can invoke a dream upon you, the enemy can see different aspects of your thoughts. Why wouldn't he be able to? If he was there when Adam was created, why wouldn't he be able to? If he is the wisest in this realm, why would he not be able to, friend? He can see aspects of your thoughts. He reverse engineers everything that God does. Yet it's distorted. It's never as perfect. So he doesn't have the fluid vantage point that God has of your thoughts. But he has pieces. Like a puzzle. It takes pieces. Okay, they were thinking of that when that feeling came. They thought of that. They thought of that. Okay, I can put this together. This is what he does. How do you think he knows? You think you fooling somebody? You're not fooling nobody. He can see the truth of you. Even if you try to hide it, he will find it. Your psychological makeup, your internal makeup, he's got all of that. And this is what I try to tell you. The wicked sciences of Babylon. You got people nowadays working these wicked sciences. And that situation that they're plotting on for you will be for them. They're going to slip on a banana peel and fall right off into it. Because you've got something when you align to the truth and the power of God. You've got something very paramount and lasting that they don't have. They've reneged. They don't even have it. It'll take them too long to get it. By the time they get it, game over. This is the point. This is not going down to meet them where they are. This is allowing them to come up to you. And if you know like anybody, like I know, it took a long time to get to where we at spiritually in alignment with God. This is a lifetime build. Whole lifetime. Now that does not mean that there are not those that change their mind and align to God that cannot stand in the truth of God and the covering of God. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if you've been out here actively wishing harm on people and doing wickedness, looking to do wickedness against people, you've got to reap what you sow. There must be a repentance process to that. And that takes time. It's action-based. You've got to put as much action in, or even more, not even as much. You've got to put more action in to level out the negativity that you've thrown out there. Just to break even. Yet if you've not done all of that, and you've just been walking and doing what you should be doing in your life, and standing in the fullness of what God has for you, there is no breaking even. And just like Joseph, who went through life doing just that, not trying to be overly righteous and not trying to be better than anybody, but pondering his own path. taking it one day at a time, going from one extreme to the next and never letting it defeat him, getting the most out of all of his experiences, regardless to what they may be, bearing all things, hoping all things, enduring all things, and never letting it change him internally. And he gets to a place in his life where all things reach a crescendo. They reach the place that they were deemed to reach from the beginning. He stands in the promise of all that God has given to him in the form of symbol and in the form of word. He's the next man in the king of Egypt. And his brothers are afraid. They've gone no further in their evolution. They're still at that same fearful place that they were when they first engaged with Joseph and he told them of his dreams. Except for now, they don't feel strong and mighty. They still feel fearful. The fear never leaves them because it is the spirit of fear that provokes them to move in the direction in which they move. This is what allows the enemy to be able to use them. It's through fear. Yet they're not boastful. They don't feel capable in their fear now. They feel bound, controlled, at the mercy of. And what do? They concoct a whole nother lie. They default to what they know best. They lie. And Joseph does not show anger. Nowhere along his path does he show anger like, I'm going to plot on them. I can't wait to see them. Judah, I can't wait to see Judah. When I see Judah, I'm going to do this to Judah. I'm going to put Judah in a dungeon. I'm going to do this to Simon. I'm going to do this to Reuben. He's not even thinking about that. But they think he is because that's how they are. Anyway, a lot of this I said yesterday, and I don't know if Spirit was speaking through me to, I guess, reiterate it. A lot of times people that you judge and you say, if I was them, I would have done it this way, or if I was them, I would do it that way. And they're not taking advantage of the situation, or they're not. I would be taking more advantage of this. It's easy to say that because you don't know all the subtleties that go into it. Meanwhile, those people are doing monumental things. It's just that you've never played at that level, so you don't know what it takes to play at that level. A lot of people out here looking like they're in trash can situations. And they probably feel like they're in trash can situations. And they probably are in trash can situations. All because they're keeping the enemy at the gate. They're turning the enemy to the gate, friend. And because the enemy cannot get in to where it really matters. Because the enemy cannot dominate where it really, really matters. He makes the outward suffer. That's what happens. And it will take one that understands the game being played to know that. Be that one. But in order to be that one, you must have played the game. And in order to play the game, you got to be selected for the team. And God is the one that selects for the team. So, quite naturally, there will be those that will never understand. But to those that are going through it, and that observe all of the communications from those that will never understand, It is for you to know that they will never understand. And for you to keep going regardless. I love you. Always looking to be useful to you. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love. Hey, JR, how you doing? Overcome by guilt and shame, the main two chains of fear. All right, you guys, I'm out. Peace.